Everyone. So the Dallas Mavericks are in a very interesting spot, right? You have Luka, who is a generational talent. He is absolutely incredible. And then you got a bunch of just interesting pieces around Dallas. There's a lot of questions about Dallas and the team as a whole. I mean, this team without Luka might end up being one of the worst teams in the league just because this team needs Luka as a driving force so much. But as we saw with like LeBron in his earlier years, and that was always the issue. You had this one high usage sort of motor that kept everything together, and you had all these pieces around it. But when LeBron didn't play, the team itself was so terrible because it was so reliant on that said player, just like Dallas is with Luka. When Luka doesn't play, they are atrocious and not a very good team at all. And Dallas is in the market right now, really actively trying to get some other pieces to upgrade and bolster the roster, right? There's all of the talks and reports and even fans making murals and all kinds of stuff about getting Luka some help, right? And there's this growing trend almost of like, Luka doesn't have any help. You need to get him help. You have this guy that you can win multiple championships with. You need to go get him another star. You need to go get another piece. And currently, the Dallas Mavericks sit in the 5th seed in the Western Conference at 27-25. But the West is so tight, right? So, for example, right now they're currently tied with the Timberwolves with the same record. They both are 8.5 games behind. And Dallas is only a game behind the Clippers from the 4th, right? But they are also only 3 games behind being in the 13th seed and only a game and a half behind of being in the 11th seed and being out of the playoffs entirely. So if Dallas ends up losing it goes on like a 3-game losing streak, all of a sudden they could be completely out of the playoffs. Or, heaven forbid, knock on wood, if Luka ends up going down or misses, not even like the season or anything, but like let's say he just has some, a significant ankle sprain or something, right? Where it's like, man, he's got to miss, 2-3 weeks, which he's already had a couple close calls and a couple issues, right? You have that, he misses a couple weeks, and Dallas goes on like, a 5-game losing streak, or they go, 1-6 down that stretch. All of a sudden, they are out of the playoffs entirely, and depending on what time that happens, you could end up running the risk of missing the playoffs. But there's also the growing concern of, would another star fit next to Luka, right? Like, that's a real concern, because Luka is the highest usage player in the league. He's the guy that always has the ball in his hands. And yes, he's able to go score 50 and still get you, 10 to 15 assists. Credible talent, no doubt about that. But how many stars would want to come and play with Luka? And Luka's just dominating the ball 90% of the game. And now that star kind of, is just kind of this role guy like everyone else that's just jacking up shots. Where, like let's say you were to get say you got like a Kyrie Irving or something like that, right? Like how much would that, relationship work? Or like a Zach LaVine or something. A guy like maybe Kevin Durant, I think maybe could work just because Kevin Durant doesn't need 20 shots to get you 20 points, right? He is so efficient and so effective that like he could, on 10 shots, he's got you 25 points, right? So I think somebody like that could really work, but like, Trae Young, for example, right? Trae Young is, there's rumors and reports that he might request a trade in the offseason and he might want to be out. Like, he was drafted by Dallas in the swap. Like, so maybe Dallas would actually want him and look at him and go, man, Trae Young and Luka together, like that could be a contender. But would it? Right? Could Trae play next to a Luka? I mean, he's having a hard time playing next to a DeJounte Murray, right? Like, and this is a growing concern, is that, like, yes, Dallas could really use another star badly. Like, if they could get another star, like a real bona fide star, this team would probably be the best team in the West and one of the best teams in the league because Luka is just that transcending. Luka is the equivalent to, like, most teams' 2 stars, right? And so if you get that other star, it's almost like you got 3 stars and then a bunch of depth and role guys. So the problem is one, finding that star, 2, having the assets. Like, the Dallas Mavericks don't really have a ton of the assets that many teams would be looking for that would go, oh, that's what we want to trade. And so you see things like, John Collins. Okay, John Collins, if he could get back to like that all-star level form, that he was a couple seasons ago, like would that help? Absolutely, of course. But they already have concerns and questions and don't really know how they feel about Christian Wood, who has been great for them this year. Like, so what are you going to replace Christian Wood with John Collins? So you're not really adding a piece. You're actually maybe subtracting a piece because Christian Wood is playing a lot better than John Collins is. Or are you bringing in John Collins and now you have Luka, John Collins, Christian Wood, and then now you're just kind of, filling in some pieces. Like, does John Collins, is he the piece that now makes you a contender? I think John Collins would make them better, especially if he could get back to the guy he was a couple seasons ago. But a big problem John Collins is having is he's not getting the ball like he once was because he has DeJounte Murray and Trae Young who are handling the bulk, right? And they're dominating the ball. Well, you got Luka, who, again, has the highest usage rate in the league. He's going to dominate the ball. So John Collins, like, where does he fit in? Is he going to get the touches that he needs to have the success? Like, what guys are going to be that? Like, there are genuine concerns with Dallas. And as good as Luka is, it begs the question, right? And to be fair, these were a lot of the same questions that went on with LeBron. And then, LeBron goes to Miami and he made the adjustments a lot. But also, Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, they were the ones that really took the back seat because LeBron was the best. So they were like, hey, Dwayne was like, hey, he's unselfish enough to go, you're the guy. You're number one, I'm number two, this guy's number three. Is there a star that Dallas can get that can come and say, okay, you're number one, I'm number two, you're going to be the lead. I'm going to play whatever role you need me to play. I don't know. Like, if you could get a Bradley Beal, right? Like, is Bradley Beal going to be a guy that can come in and kind of fit in the role that you need him to be? Or do you, like I said, or is the only option really a Kevin Durant where it's like, okay, well, he's so good, so efficient, so effective that if you get somebody like him, then he doesn't, like, Luka can still dominate the ball and KD can go get you 20 a night just on just the efficiency that he has, right? Or like, a Joel Embiid, like somebody like that where, he's going to shoot 60% from the field because everything's going to be at the rim. Luka could dump it down to him. Like, it's finding the right star. But are any of those actually obtainable, or are they going to actually be able to get them? And, what role guys can you get that's really going to bolster the roster? Like I said, is John Collins the answer? Does John Collins all of a sudden make you, a top 3 team in the West or a top 5 team in the league? I don't know. I don't think so. I do think he makes them better. I do think that he's a good fit, but that's the problem is like, what pieces are you going to be able to get that make sense, that are going to be able to fit next to Luka, that are going to be willing to take a backseat to Luka? I'm not saying that John Collins wouldn't, but, the big concern is that his usage isn't what it was in Atlanta. And so that's really dropped his production, and now he's not shooting as good. He doesn't have the confidence he once had. Like, it's just, he's kind of on this downward spiral. But he's a guy that may actually be realistically obtainable for the Dallas Mavericks. So it's like, do you do that and see how it goes? And then, if you don't spend too much to get him, maybe you go get something else. And, how many teams are looking at Dallas's roster and going, oh man, I need a Dinwiddie. Oh man, I need, THJ. Like, I need that. I need this. Like, how many are like, oh, I need a Finney Dory Smith. Like, let's go get that. Let's get a Bertans. Like, I don't think that there are many teams that are looking at that and going like, oh, that's the guy we need. Where it's kind of more like, yeah, we want this guy, and we also, throw in Finney as like another piece. The problem is that Dallas doesn't really seem to have that guy. Maybe Christian Wood. I do think there are teams that would love Christian Wood, but is Dallas willing to trade him? And should they trade him? But they need to get help for Luka. They really do. Luka needs help. And it's just, there are a lot of questions on both sides of the spectrum, right? Like, is he going to be able to play alongside another star? And is that star going to be able to play alongside him? Or do you just have to get like really good role players? I'm talking about like tier level role players, right? Like the cream of the crops, right? Like, go get like a Jeremy Grant and get a whatever, right? Like get pieces like a Miles Turner, like guys like that to where they're not stars, but they're really good, right? They're above average role guys that are going to be very effective, right? Like that is something. I think like Dallas, like look at like a Buddy Hield, right? Because he's shooting 43% on like I think that's probably the only ways to really upgrade the roster reasonably. If you could get like a Bojan Bogdanovic or a Buddy Hield, where you just get these elite snipers that can give you 20 points a game on efficiency, that you need efficiency next to Luka Doncic, right? Because Luka's going to go get you half your points. He's going to generate the assists. That he's going to get the rebounds. He's going to get nearly a triple-double every night. And he's going to set guys up. And you need those guys that are the setup guys to be just lights out. Dallas is very live or die by the three. And they have guys that can shoot pretty well, but you need like elite 3-point shooting. You need, like I said, a Bojan, Alec Burke, a Buddy Hield. Like you have those three guys around Luka. Now you're probably one of the scariest teams in the league because you got three guys there that all shoot 43% or more from 3-point range. So it's like, oh, okay, like now like you're getting the threes in an efficient manner. And these guys are all guys that can go get you 15 to 20 points on, like I said, 10 shots. Like that's a huge deal. So anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think Dallas could get a star? Do you think Dallas should trade for role guys? Do you think Luka could play with another star? Do you think another star could play with Luka? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know.